I was giving my mom a hand with her 401k the other day, and it got me thinking about why the 401k is so prevalent. Almost everyone has, or will have a 401k. I'd go as far as to say it's one of the most critical components of someone's financial journey. With that said, let's talk about the pros and cons of the 401k, just so everyone is on the same page. Let's get started. Before we get into the pros, let's go over what a 401k is, for anyone new to this or anyone that may need a refresher. The 401k is an employer-sponsored retirement account that allows employees to save a portion of their paychecks automatically. These savings, or contributions, can be invested in a wide range of assets, usually tied to set plans. The 401k is employer-sponsored because it's not only provided, but also managed by companies as part of the compensational benefits an employee might receive. The company will pick a third-party manager like a Merrill Lynch, select available plans, and set the terms of employer matching programs. More on that in a sec. So a 401k as a way to save for retirement through your employer. What are the pros? One of the biggest advantages of the 401k is employer matching. Most companies will offer to match a set portion of your total contributions, which, for all intents and purposes, is like receiving free money for retirement. Typical matching looks like this. For X percent of your salary, the company will match Y percent of your contributions. So if you made $100K, to make things easy, and your employer matches 3% of your salary at 1-to-1, they'll match $3,000, bringing your total effective contributions to $6,000. Now, depending on the plan's structure, it could be that the company continues to match contributions beyond that initial limit, just at a lower rate, say only 50%. And they may implement a vesting schedule in which you don't receive all of your match until a few years after being with the company. Things to keep in mind. What makes the employer match so powerful is what it represents from an investing perspective. If you think about it, a full employer match is an immediate 1% return on investment for the contributions that qualify. You double your money, expediting your retirement saving, yet with very little risk. Another huge pro for the 401k is the tax advantage that comes with it. When you contribute to your 401k, you're doing so with pre-tax dollars. This means that the money is eligible to defer the taxes paid on it to way later in the future. The way this works is by deducting your total contributions from your taxable income for the year. You make $100K, you contribute $10,000, your new taxable income is $90K. Pretty cool. But what's even cooler is the tax advantage extends to investment returns within your 401k. The capital gains and investment income from your assets are all tax deferred to when you retire. That's huge because the less you're paying to Uncle Sam, the more money is kept working for you, compounding over time. So the 401k gives you an opportunity to reduce your taxable income through contributions, which is directly tied to another advantage. The 401k has high contribution limits compared to other retirement accounts. For 2024, the annual contribution limit is $23,000. And if you happen to be 50 or older, you can contribute up to $30,500. Compare that to the traditional and Roth IRA with limits of $7,000 and $8,000 for those 50 and older. Not only are these high contribution limits great for reducing your taxable income, but they also expedite your retirement saving by simply allowing you to invest more year over year. The more you can invest today, the greater your nest egg will be years from now. So those are the pros of the 401k. But what about the cons? Because although the 401k is a really solid investing vehicle, it is imperfect. I'd say the most obvious downside to a 401k is early withdrawal penalties. If you needed to access your 401k funds before the age of 59 and a half, you'd be looking at a 10% additional tax on top of any applicable taxes for the money made selling your assets. 10% is a lot of money, y'all. That steep of a tax can really set you back in your retirement plan. And because of this additional tax, the 401k seems a little bit illiquid, which for someone that prefers highly liquid assets like myself is unappealing. But I'd be doing you a disservice if I said the early withdrawal penalty was all bad. It's a necessary evil, because it's much worse if you think about the opportunity cost of early withdrawal. By taking that money out early, before retirement, you're losing out on several years of compounding that could make retirement that much more comfortable. Let me show you. Assume you invested a one-time sum of 10 grand at 25 years old. That gives you 34 and a half years if you planned on pulling your money right at 59 and a half. Let's also assume a 10% annual return. When it's all said and done, you'd expect to have about $268,000, which is nice, but what if you had left your money alone until you were 65? That $268K would turn into over $450,000, nearly $200,000 more if you waited the additional 5.5 years. And yes, was this example an oversimplification of retirement? Sure. But y'all get my point. It is important to call out that there are instances where early withdrawals are not subjected to a penalty. Situations like your child's birth or a medical emergency. I encourage you again to visit the IRS's website to learn more about what circumstances qualify. Another drawback of the 401k is that your investment options are typically limited to a preset selection of funds, depending on how your employer decides to structure the plan. The 401k is not like logging on to Robinhood and having access to the entire spectrum of individual stocks and ETFs. Most plans do this because of the regulations in place for privately established retirement accounts. There's standards for customer protections, in this case the employees, that need to be met. Which is not a bad thing at all. Protection is good. The problem is when the options are too limited or too generalized to the point your individual investment preferences can't be optimized. Your tolerance for risk, your time horizon, your belief in stocks, value versus growth, dividends, bonds, cash. Everyone is different, and that's hard for the 401ks to capture. The thing I personally dislike the most about the 401k is the fee structure. Compared to today's investment options like low-cost index funds, many 401k plans are expensive. When looking at your 401k, it's absolutely crucial to identify if you'll be paying things like administrative fees, custodial fees, and above average expense ratios for the selection of funds available to you. Every cost you face will directly impact your overall investment returns, and in a very big way. Even if 1% or 2% fees don't sound like a lot, because of compounding, the effects of those fees are amplified over time. Here's an example in which the difference between 0.5% and a 2% fee over 20 years is $10,000. Here's another in which two people contribute the same amount of money each year into similar performing investments, but one with a 0% fee and the other with 1%. The difference is staggering over 45 years. The person paying fees leaves $1.6 million on the table. Now, you may hear certain plans and investments cost more because they offer better services and outperform cheaper alternatives. That may be true from an administrative side, but for the actual investments, we've seen time and time again that in reality, because it's so difficult to beat the market, performance rarely justifies higher fees. So be sure to fully understand those fee structures. The goal is to minimize the money you put in other people's pockets and maximize the money working for you. With that, we'll end the video here. The 401k, a staple in all of our financial journeys. The pros: employer matching, tax advantages, and high contribution limits. The cons: early withdrawal penalties, a limited investment selection, and potentially high fee structures. The 401k is a great tool to leverage for retirement, but it's certainly not perfect. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself, and best of luck.